Welcome back to the Team to Be Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat content. My name is Amir. I hate to say it, but the Miami Heat are looking like they're destined for the play-in tournament once again. And we're talking about a team who was on a 7-game win streak last week. And that team climbed all the way up to the 5th seed, I believe, or at least the 6th seed in the East. And it felt like finally they flipped a switch. Their offense is humming. Their defense has been good all year. So this is great. We can finally avoid the play-in tournament. And Bam, who was obviously upset when we asked like a month ago or 3 weeks ago about being in the play-in again. And we clearly know the team doesn't want to be in the play-in. But now 3 straight losses. They're back down to the 8th seed. They were 9 games above 500. Now they're 38 and 32. And suddenly the season is starting to feel very familiar. It's always up, then down. And then they win a few, they get hot, then they go cold. It's very frustrating. And this is just Miami Heat basketball. And we're used to this in the regular season. And they struggle. And they've been an average team for a long time. So today we're going to talk about why this team is most likely headed toward a 4th straight playing appearance, which is just ridiculous. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about what's gone wrong and what it can mean for the future of this roster, because right now the Heat again are stuck in the middle, and this season basically has been one giant roller coaster ride. I mean, last year was a roller coaster ride with the whole Jimmy Butler trade saga, but again, they get hot, then they go cold. They look like a dangerous playoff team for a stretch, and then suddenly they look like a team that can barely score offensively in the crunch time. And right now, the reality is pretty simple. The only consistent thing about the Miami Heat so far this year is that they're inconsistent. They're not bad. They're not great. They're just a good team, I guess, like stuck in the middle, like not a very good team. But honestly, watching this team lately has driven me towards madness. And speaking of madness, and speaking of something that's actually consistent, unlike the Miami Heat right now, let's talk about today's sponsor for today's video. That's Underdog Sports. So the tournament is back. The upsets are inevitable, and Underdog is the best place to get in on the action. Playing on Underdog is super easy. All you have to do is pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. And there's a ton of games to pick through, obviously, as it's the second day of the NCAA tournament. And so if you get your picks right, you can win up to 5,000 times your cash, which is just simply amazing. So here's what I'm doing on Underdog. So I'm picking Nate Ament from Tennessee to go higher on 20.5 points in his game. Then I'm also going to parlay that, and I'm taking Iowa's Tavion Banks to go under 10.5 points. So that's what I'm going to do today and this week. I'll probably pick some more picks as well, but because there's a ton of games coming up for the next week or so. And if you want to get in on the action as well on this March Madness craze, download the Underdog app today and use promo code TEAM2BEAT to score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first 5. Again, that's promo code TEAM2BEAT. Underdog, make picks, win money. All right, now let's get back to the Miami Heat and talk about the reality check they need to face. Right now, honestly, that last loss against the Lakers yesterday felt like a reality check. They got absolutely cooked by Luka Doncic, who scored 60 points on the Miami Heat's home floor. LeBron James came back to his former team at age 41, got a triple-double last night. So he was huge. Austin Reeves played great. And this loss last night was the kind of loss that makes you step back and go, okay, what exactly is this team playing for? Like, who are they? What's their identity? They don't really have one. Like, defensively, yes, again, they're solid. That's always going to be their identity. But offensively, man, they're just always finding trouble to stay in rhythm consistently. And some nights, again, the ball is moving. Davion's getting to the paint, driving and kicking, finding teammates for 3. The spacing looks good. Guys are cutting like Pelle Larson, Jaime Jaquez, and it just looks really good. And then other nights, it turns into isolation basketball with Tyler and Norm. Bam is forced to take late clock bailout shots, essentially. And in today's NBA, you can't survive with an inconsistent offense. And, they used to always say defense wins championships, but you need to be good at offense too. You need to have a good defensive team, but you need to be able to score. And so, again, we're talking about a team that wins 7 and then they lose 3, and most likely are going to lose more. Again, they lost 3 straight, and the season is feeling very familiar. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to beat some pretty good teams down the stretch. I think we have like 12 games left, hoping that we can go 6-6 in order to possibly avoid the play-in. But like, I don't know if we're actually going to be able to avoid the play-in. Like, it's going to be really, really tough with the margin of error, and it's tiny. The margin of error is going to be tiny. Like, we're not going to have a very easy schedule, at least for the next few games. I mean, we're playing the Houston Rockets, playing the Spurs, playing the Cavs, who are clearly better than us back to back. Then we finally, after those 4 games, we get the Pacers, who are obviously tanking for the first pick of the draft. That should be a win. And then we have a huge game against the 76ers, who are right behind us in the 9th seed. So we need to beat one of Houston and the Spurs. We've beat the Rockets recently by 10. Hopefully it's them. I don't see us beating the Spurs. Then we have to take one of the games against the Cavs. I mean, I think we could win one of them possibly, but I could also see us losing both. And then against the 76ers, that's going to be a tough game. I don't know if Tyrese Maxey will be back. I think he's going to be out. So that's been our saving grace and why the Sixers have really fallen out of the top 8 in the playoffs right now. So this is where things can go very right or very wrong for the Miami Heat. And based on the season, we have no idea of how we could predict this. They are just inconsistent as always. There's a tiebreaker problem too, again, with the teams ahead of us. The Magic have beaten us 1,000 times this season, so the Magic have a tiebreaker over us. I think the Raptors so far, they have a tiebreaker over us. We have 2 games against the Raptors in April, back-to-back games, so we need to win those. But they have the tiebreaker. They're the 5th seed. So the teams ahead of us right now have that tiebreaker. So we need a better record. And that's going to mean we're going to have to win every games, and we're going to hope that those teams lose. So yeah, it's been a tough season for the Miami Heat. They have been competitive, but they just lack consistency on offense. They don't have a number 1 scorer on this team. Tyler has been in and out of the lineups. Norm has been in and out of the lineups. They don't fit well together. Bam's been scoring, playing great lately, but it hasn't really translated to a lot of victories of late. So I don't know what's going to happen, but it just feels like the Miami Heat are stuck in the middle. And I feel like they're realistically going to finish 7th, which I predicted at the beginning of the season. Before the season started, I thought the Heat were going to be 7th. Even when we got Norman Powell for basically free, I just think that the Miami Heat are going to be in the play-in for the 4th straight year. And then if that's the case, there's going to be a lot of offseason questions. We're going to have to figure out who's getting extended. Is Norm going to get extended? Is Tyler going to ask for that extension, which I know he will? Is Andrew Wiggins going to pick up his player option? Like, are we going to make a trade? Like, this roster core needs to be changed. Like, it doesn't work. And running this formula back again is not going to sit right with the Miami Heat fans. But again, my prediction, they're going to be 7th or 8th. And if they're 8th, actually, it might not actually be the end of the world, because Cade Cunningham has a collapsed lung, which is just insane because he was an MVP candidate. The Pistons have been the number 1 seed in the East the whole season. They've had an amazing season so far. He's been the catalyst. He's been the heart and soul of that team. He's probably going to miss the regular season now, which is like 12 or 14 games for the Pistons. And I don't know, maybe they could fall. Boston's was only 3.5 games back from them, so that's close. But if the Heat somehow get the 8th seed and we play the Pistons in the first round without Cade Cunningham, the Miami Heat could, in theory, beat a team without Cade Cunningham. You never know, which could be funny and an easier path for the Miami Heat to maybe win a first round. If the Miami Heat do somehow avoid the play and get the 6th seed, they're probably going to play the Knicks. And yes, the Knicks are a fraudulent franchise, but they still have Jalen Brunson, who's a very good player. They have a very good team with a good set of wing players with OG and Bridges. And then, of course, they have Cat, who's fine. I just would rather play a Pistons without Cade Cunningham than the Knicks, honestly. But again, I'd still be open to playing the Knicks over the Cavs. So I don't know. It's going to be a rough stretch. We'll see what happens. But let me know, Heat Nation, do you think the Miami Heat can avoid the play-in for the first time in 4 seasons? Or are we headed back to the play-in for year number 4? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.